fucking go, guys. Let's fucking do this. Let's go. The woke left has gone insane. You've probably heard a conservative political commentator say such things when pointing out the hypocrisy of the left wing, how they deny facts and reality, and how they always call to cancel people. But what if I told you that this same thing is happening more and more with so-called conservative commentators? We're going to talk about the hypocrisy surrounding the Israel-Palestine conflict, and also how slowly but surely Pierre Poilievre supporters are starting to act more and more like obedient, woke, delusional Trudeau supporters. The conversation starts now.
I promise you, I will not let you down.
The trucks parked outside illegally should move.
Canada's Conservatives will meet our Paris climate commitment.
Enough with the woke. Sorry, Mr. Speaker, I take that back.
To champion our conservative principles.
We are the party of law and order.
To call in the auditors.
We haven't yet decided whether we're going to call for the government to impose a mandatory test or vaccination.
And we will win the next election. Canada must not ignore the reality of climate change.
Why weren't Canadians vaccinated in January and February like everyone else?
Yeah. Welcome, everybody, to Controlled Opposition, episode 32. I'm your host, Greg Wycliffe. Hope you're all doing very well. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the rise of the woke right, or maybe it's just exposing the woke right that's always been there. We're going to be talking about examples in Canada, of course, but there's a lot of easy ones to look at for the Israel-Palestine conflict. There's a lot of right-wing commentators right now who are really saying a lot of things that are super emotional, super kind of denying the context of the truth of the facts and logic, as you might say, if you're Ben Shapiro. Last episode, we talked all about Ben Shapiro with our friend Jeremy McKenzie. And we're also going to be talking about Glenn Beck, of course. He gave this very glowing and gushing thing about standing up for the Jew, which it reminded me of BLM and these woke liberal white women who stand up for the blacks for BLM. So I think that's very interesting. I also got in a Twitter space last week with some right-wing conservative Canadians. I got called a Holocaust denier. I got called indoctrinated. And of course, I got called an anti-Semite. And I'll go over like my views that were so controversial. But this is a big problem for patriots and for real conservatives because, you know, wokeness really is wokeness broadly. We think of it as a left-wing agenda, right? Like anything that's woke is something that's coming from the left. But I think like the wokeness on both sides coming from the right wing as well, it really is defined as a political agenda. Like that's what we recognize it as. Like, okay, there's clearly an agenda here that's stupid. Maybe people have been indoctrinated to this political agenda, to these political values, or these doctrines. But broadly, you could say they are anti-white. Okay, think of the rainbow flag. They've added the black and the brown and the tranny and the pedophile, whatever. But all of that, maybe we've heard this before, but all of that is against white people. Like white people are not on that flag. And if it is, it's gay white people. And gay white people aren't going to make more white people, if you didn't know. If you didn't know that the birds and the bees, I don't know if you've had that explain that to you. But essentially, if you're gay or a tranny, you are not going to procreate. And quite frankly, when it comes to the LGBTQ plus movement, it really has captured a lot of white Westerners. You know, look it up. So, and I think also we see an echo of wokeness on the right wing of being not necessarily anti-white, but definitely pro-Israel. I think that's a very, very clear pattern that we're seeing. And, the show is called Control Opposition. We have to talk about people who are pretending to be our friends and really aren't doing or saying or promoting things that are in our best interest. And let's face it, folks, there's a lot of people in the right-wing space on Daily Wire. I used to love Dave Rubin. I still do like Gad Saad and all these other people, but they are Jewish and they have a very pro-Israel stance and everything. And I'll get into why later of why that's really not in our best interest. Promoting the bombing of Gaza, I don't think is in the best interest of Canadians. Okay. Mainly because a lot of displaced refugees are going to come here. Oh, and also we're going to talk about a leaked document that is coming from, let me get this right here, from the Israeli Ministry of Intelligence. And apparently this leaked document has a lot of credibility. There's there's Israeli publications talking about this being legit. And essentially in this document, it talks about how, the plan is to remove all 2.2 million Gazans and ship them the fuck out of here somewhere else. That's like part of the Israeli intelligence plan. So, thanks a lot. Canada is included for our permissive immigration policy. So thanks a lot for that. And it really kind of flies in the face of a lot of right-wing pro-Israel people commentating, saying like, oh my God, look at these protesters. Look at these angry protesters. And it's like, okay, why is bombing Gaza good? More of them are going to come here. I made a video about this on my channel, a short one, but it's like, hello, this seems totally whack and weird. Like this doesn't add up. Surely you can understand why this doesn't make sense. And it really is enraging because a lot of these right-wing commentators are intellectuals. Jordan Peterson is an intellectual. Gad Saad is an intellectual. Dave Rubin is an intellectual, I guess. But when it comes to this issue, they seem to be like, it just does not add up. Does not add up whatsoever. But that's what we're going to be talking about on the show. Really quickly, I want to give a big shout out and encourage you guys to help support our Patriot friend, Rob Primo. He's in a pickle right now. He's fighting like all these COVID fines, I believe. It's totally insane. But if you like the show and you feel like spending some money, then please give it to Rob Primo. I put the link to his GoFundMe in the description. I'll put it in the chat here real quick. It's givesendgo.com/therobprimo. He's a great guy. He does independent journalism. He's just a regular dad who lives in Niagara, and he's facing 800K in COVID tickets. And of course, I'm not asking you to pay for these tickets. He just needs to pay for his basic legal defense. I'm sure it should be easy for him to kick these to the curb. That being said, he needs the right lawyer. He needs a lawyer who can show up for him. We love Primo. Just wanted to plug that really quickly. Hopefully he can, get that all cleared up. And because it's about freedom for Canadians and all that sort of thing. Yeah. Love our Rob Primo. Okay. So where do we begin? Where do we begin on this topic? There really is, it's just like a buffet of hypocrisy, really. Sip check. Let me start with the Twitter space that I did. Okay, so I went into a Twitter space last week, and I saw some people that I knew on Twitter in the right-wing space, Canadian like freedom fighters, whatever you want to call it. And I was listening in, and I'm like, okay, clearly everyone is very pro-Israel in this Twitter space, and I'm not really pro-Israel or pro-Palestine, but more and more I am finding myself leaning, not to necessarily be pro-Palestine, but there's just so much lies. There's so much hypocrisy and lies coming from the pro-Israel side. It's like really hard to, hop on board with their side because they keep repeating the same sort of talking points and they just don't make any sense to me. And they seem to be so willfully ignorant. They're acting as if only Israelis are dying. Only Jews have died, apparently. Quite literally. That is like the attitude of pretty well every pro-Israel person I've seen online anyway. I'm sure there's more reasonable takes out there, but it's I don't even get it's too bad that we have to bomb Gaza. I don't even think that many of them are saying that. They're just like, we're doing it. Like we got to, we're bombing Gaza. Of course we are, and I was watching a podcast by Anomaly, at Legendary Energy on Twitter. Really love his takes on this. And it's just like, it's just all really sad. You know, it's just like, we want to genocide you. We want to genocide you. Like, there's just so much kind of like, we want to kill each other rhetoric on both sides. And it's a super messy. But again, I tend to lean to the pro-Palestine side because all these pro-Israel people just seem to be like so dishonest on how everything is being framed. You know, it's like, you guys are about to bomb the fuck out of Gaza and displace 2 million people, right? Like, and you know that, but you're like, no, we have to do it. Only Israelis are dying. Like, it really has that really weird energy to it. Anyway, I wanted to like learn more. I wanted to ask questions of pro-Israel people and kind of like try and find out kind of what's going on here. And the first thing I brought up was, hey guys, you know, the reason, because someone asked, I just don't understand why a Westerner wouldn't be pro-Israel, because, you know, Israel represents democracy, and you know, why would they not get behind this? And obviously Islamic terrorism is bad, and why wouldn't they be pro-Israel? I don't get it. So I answered that question. I said, you know, that is a fair enough question. And I told them, I actually related it to COVID. And I said, okay, what did the conspiracy theorists say about COVID? And they were absolutely right. They said, listen, this scheme looks like Big Pharma is going to make a fuck ton of money, aren't they? Yeah, the shots, the testing kits, all this stuff, Big Pharma is going to profit a lot. It's almost like that's part of the narrative or what's going on here, along with the control and everything. But let's just focus on the business side of it. The conspiracy theorists were right about COVID. Big Pharma made a fuck ton of money. And I said, what I'm concerned about when it comes to the Israel-Palestine conflict is a lot of geopolitical analysts that are way smarter than me are saying, you know what? It looks like this is leading to a world war or a larger war. Similar, people are saying it's very similar to how the Iraq war started. All of the, oh my God, spooky terrorists, we must go bomb. We must go send bombs. We need to start the war. And if you didn't know, war makes a lot of money. War makes a lot of money, okay? And once again, the conspiracy theorists have a pretty good track record on this. But Greg, why would they do that? Why would they do this? For an inconceivably large, massive mountain of money. You can't even imagine how big the pile of money is. It's much bigger than the dead children, by the way. Huge pile of money. That's why they would do this. And that was kind of like my opening statement in this Twitter space. And because I said, hey, a lot of these pro-Israel people, it really feels like they're warmongering. Really feels like they're, you know, provoking the Muslim world. And I'm not going to go into all the, you know, logistics and details of attacks here or bombs there, because quite frankly, I don't know all of them. But you know, I'm not like a generalities guy of like the patterns and the trends. And I'm seeing, hey, you know, looks like this is heading towards a world war. That's bad. More dead women and children, and just a fuck ton of money for these arms dealers, right? And somehow that conversation got turned into me being a Holocaust denier, which was really strange. I don't know how that happened, but in the space they brought up Holocaust denial. And I said, well, actually, that's a good point, because Holocaust denial is actually like this new speech law, where if you say a certain thing about a historic event incorrectly, then, oh my God, you're going to go to jail. You're going to get charged, which again, hey, that's a woke thing. That is a left-wing thing. It's supposedly to be censored, to not have freedom of speech. There are laws that have been passed, legislation from Trump, I hate to say that, Trump and DeSantis, that are having to do with anti-Semitism. And the definition of anti-Semitism is so broad, it's insane. The freedom of speech is being attacked from the right wing, you guys. From the right wing. The wokeness is on the right wing. It's bad news. It's bad news bears. And yeah, I brought that up as well. And then someone else said, oh, like so you deny the Holocaust. And I'm like, why do you keep saying that? Why are people like, if Jordan Peterson was actually principled on this issue, he would say, I don't care how egregious it is. Because for those who don't know, Jordan Peterson's kind of like claim to fame initially was, hey, you want compelled speech for pronouns. You know, he came out, I don't know what year it was, 2016 or something. He said this compelled speech for pronouns is nonsense, okay? Because this sets a terrible precedent for speech and like what we're allowed to think and say about other people, right? He had that principled stance. And it's like, Jordan Peterson, where are you on this one, okay? The principled stance of freedom of speech. You cannot say specific things about the specific historical event that happened 80 years ago. That's a terrible precedent. And I related it to what's happened in Canada, which is the residential school kids. We found 200, 300, 500 dead bodies of children murdered by the Christian Catholic Church. That ended up being a hoax, by the way. And there was an NDP MP who wanted to pass a law to residential school denial. You see where this goes? If you ever have the wrong opinion on any historical event in history, you can't talk about it. We're moving in the wrong direction. And these incentives, or these sort of, not incentives, these ideas, this agenda is coming from the right wing, you guys. It's coming from the right wing. This is not good. And it's really, patriots and like real conservatives, we have to be watching this and exposing this as much as possible, because this does not end well for us. Trannies to the left of me, psychos to the right. Here I am, and now I'm going to jail for my opinion. Like that's not good. Okay, we need to do something about this, and at the very least, just start talking about it. Start exposing it. Where was I? I was talking about the Twitter space. So I brought up the freedom of speech thing, which, again, kind of got cast aside like it wasn't important. And it was funny because the name of the Twitter space was, how does the Israel-Palestine conflict affect the West? And it's like, hey, our speech laws are going away. That's kind of important. That kind of defines the West. Freedom of speech defines the West. It defines America anyway. And, so that was being called a Holocaust denier. The kind of freedom of speech concerns were cast aside. What was the next thing that happened? I think I got accused of being indoctrinated. Because I started to bring up, I was like, hey guys, like the hypocrisy of the pro-Israel people is really irritating me. It's really like, it's very strict. Actually, I'll go into this one. So, I was saying that, hey guys, the hypocrisy is very strange to me, because you're saying that it's only Palestinians, it's only Hamas supporters, it's only Muslims broadly that want to genocide people. Okay. When it's like pro-Israel people literally want to bomb the fuck out of Gaza. Like a lot of them are basically saying we have to do this. That sounds genocidal. There's been people in Israel who actually refer to it like ethnically as well. That like very, very, I don't want to say Hitler-esque, but it's what comes to mind because I've been programmed that way. God damn it. There's always just Hitler running around in your head. You know that? It's weird. But, so they're saying the Palestinian side, the Muslim side, they are the ones that are religious extremists. They have these crazy religious ideas. Meanwhile, there's many pro-Israel people who are like, well, it's our land because of 2,000 years of this and do that. And it's like, well, you guys have some pretty insane religious ideas as well, actually. And some of you are like super obsessed with the Holy Land and your identity and your bloodline and your right to the land. Like, to say that there isn't Israelis out there who also have these insane religious ideas or radical religious ideas that they act upon and truly believe, and that may lead to violence and dehumanization of their enemies. Yeah, I don't think that's accurate, number one. Number two is the glorifying of violence and terrorism. The glorifying of violence and terrorism. They're acting as if only the Islamic world is doing that. Only Muslims do that. And the example I brought up, I'll bring it up right now, is people probably don't know this. I didn't know this beforehand. But this is, I don't know how to say, I'm going to butcher this name. Itamar Ben Gvir. Was that, I pronounced it perfectly, didn't I? But he's an Israeli lawyer and far-right politician who serves as, he's the current Minister of National Security in Israel. And let's just go to the first paragraph. He's faced charges of hate speech against Arabs. He was known to have a portrait. Oh, yeah. He was known to have a portrait in his living room of Israeli-American terrorist Baruch Goldstein, who massacred 29 Palestinian Muslim worshippers and wounded 125 others in Hebron in the 1994 Cave of the Patriarchs massacre. So if you have a portrait of a massacre guy, like a terrorist, I feel like that's glorifying terrorism, wouldn't you? I would say that's like celebrating like ethnic cleansing in a way as well. And this is the current minister of national security in Israel. So again, I was saying that in this Twitter space to prove my point. Yeah, it kind of seems like there's some Israelis that are also celebrating violence. Seems like they also glorify terrorism. So, if that's the line too, and I also brought this up because a lot of the pro-Israel people kind of make this argument that no, it's just the Islamic world that's backwards and are uncivilized. That's why we got to bomb the fuck out of them, right? It's very weird. They're like, no, we got to, we're the civilized ones. That's why we got to displace 2 million people and bomb the fuck out of them. It's crazy. It's crazy. But after saying this in the Twitter space, I got accused of being indoctrinated. Ding, 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 ding. Indoctrinated. That's what I got accused of being. So that is name calling, right? It's name calling. It's like, hey, I'm just going to dismiss you entirely by labeling you. Once again, another characteristic of the woke left. But, I think that I kind of said this at the beginning, but I want to kind of reiterate, like wokeness. Although we think of it as, we say it gets said a lot, it gets thrown around a lot. What does it really mean? I mean, it's one of those buzzwords that is, unfortunately, it is kind of useful. But I think the way people need to understand it is, like I said, it's defined by being agenda driven. It's about driving forth an agenda above all things, right? And that's kind of really how it's manifesting in the right wing, in the conservative sphere, in this like pro-Israel way, where it's like, this is about a pro-Israel agenda, period. This isn't about facts. This isn't about logic. This isn't about being fair. This isn't about equality. This is about Israel first. This is about, our priorities are your priorities now or else. And there's so much about it that is similar. Another thing is the ultimatums. I hate the ultimatums. I'm seeing every pro-Israel person I see. It's like, you either love Jews or you hate us and want to kill us all. Like, it's like constantly, that is like how I'm seeing everything framed. And it's like, this is so fucking annoying, guys. Like, it's so annoying. And it's exactly what leftists do. It's exactly what these people do on the left, which is you either hate black people and you want to kill them all, or you love them. And it's like, this is really, really tiring. It's really, really tiring. And everybody who has their head screwed on straight are seeing this though, which is really inspiring. People are seeing this and they're like, this seems like a sort of like false choice here. I feel like there should be more options. It's either you want to bomb Gaza or you want to kill all Jews. Which is it, Goy? It's like, guys, hold up, please. Can you let me be? Like, it's totally insane out there. But the other thing that really got me in trouble in this Twitter space, another thing was I brought up a talking point from Charlie Kirk, by the way. Charlie Kirk is a big name in Turning Point USA. They're known for being very pro-Israel and having, if I'm not mistaken, Israeli donors and Republican Party donors, which go hand in hand from what I hear. And he said on a podcast, hey, I mean, we gotta ask the question of the possibility. Was there stand down orders when this Hamas attack happened? I've been to Israel, he says. The helicopter flight from Gaza to this, it's only like 45 minutes. And you're telling me that these Hamas attackers had 6 hours without the IDF doing anything? If I'm not mistaken, he got in a lot of trouble for saying that. But I basically brought up that same talking point in the Twitter space. And I said, I know it's uncomfortable to like imagine the possibility that Netanyahu or the Israeli government would like allow their own people to be killed to justify a political agenda. And then I got cut off and they're like, that is disgusting that you would suggest that. How dare you suggest that? And all of a sudden, I found this so funny. All of a sudden, all of these freedom fighters who were at the trucker convoy were like, you think a government would kill their own people? You think the government... Where have you been? Where have you been the past 3 years? Yes, the government would kill its own people. They actually like handed out the vaccine first in Israel. It's like it's like freedom fighters saying this. You think the government will kill their own people? Like, have you been alive? Like, how are you on Twitter? How are you on conservative Twitter in 2023 saying this? You think the government will kill their own people? Man, I'm really hoping to speak to Mr. Hartman, by the way, and get him on the show. His son passed away of the vaccine. Can I say that now on YouTube? Well, I just said it. But yeah, I mean, it's the government will kill its own people. How dare you say that? And, I wish I was smarter or more informed on this topic, because if I'm not mistaken, there are specific examples of the Israeli government doing exactly this, which is allowing their people to be killed to then justify a political agenda. It's called a false flag. And once again, the right wing conservative minded people, freedom fighter type people are more conspiracy minded. Yet when it comes to Israel Palestine, it's like, what? They would do something nefarious to push forth their agenda, to start a war, to make a fucking insane amount of money? They would do? No way. Whoa. World governments don't care about human life? No, my God. What are you talking about? How dare you suggest? It's like am I talking to like stupid idiots at a BLM protest right now? Am I talking to stupid idiots at like the pro-tranny protest right now? Because that's what it seems like. Oh no, I'm talking to freedom fighters. Oh wow, I'm talking to conservatives on the right wing. Like, it's what the heck is going on here? It's crazy. It's crazy, the hypocrisy. What was the last thing? I got called one more thing in this Twitter space. I basically just got called like detestable for that. And while we're talking about hypocrisy, there was a woman who was on the space who's an ex-Muslim, and she was saying, hey, Greg, she was saying kind of broadly to the room about, hey, I don't know what the solution is, but we got to do something about this. And we're not going to have peace until we figure out what to do with 1.8 billion Muslims. And it's like, this is kind of why another criticism of the pro-Israel side sometimes, because it's like, okay, so your solution is to re-educate 1.8 billion people. Is that what you're getting at? That sounds a little insane. No, but it's only the Islamists with the insane ideas. But you want to re-educate 1.8 billion people. Yeah, let's see how that goes. Let's see. Yeah, we want to re-educate all these people. Why are they getting so mad? It's whoa, what's going on here? Yeah, I wonder why they're getting so mad. Oh yeah, and then at the end I got called an anti-Semite, of course. I got called an anti-Semite because I was kind of reiterating my points of, hey, it really seems like pro-Israel people are really being hypocrites. It sounds like you're both kind of using genocidal language. You're both have extreme religious ideas. You're both kind of glorify violence and terrorism against one another. And as I was reiterating those points, I brought up a couple of points, but I brought up the Samson option, which is this really insane strategy, I guess, or sort of protocol that is from the Israeli government. Maybe don't quote me on that, but it essentially says, hey, if the existence of Israel is threatened, we might just have to bomb all sorts of places just cause. We might have to bomb London and all these major European cities because if Israel's threatened, then we just have to indiscriminately just kill a bunch of people just because. And in a way, I guess it is a strategy in which we better not attack Israel because they might just bomb the fuck out of everybody. It's kind of like this insane, mad dog style sort of military, pumping your chest up, you better not fuck with us, psychological insanity. And it's that's psychopathic. I think assuming, I'm pretty sure it is real, but assuming that is real, that is psychopathic to say hey, I'm gonna take everybody else down with me. That's fucking insane, school shooter type shit. And apparently it's part of the Israeli government strategy. But yeah, so I didn't even describe it. in the Twitter space. I just said that, yeah, and there's also the Samson option, which I think is interesting in terms of extreme terroristic or extreme ideas. And they're oh, well, that's just you're just an anti-Semite for bringing that up. And I started laughing, and I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, oh, well, you think Israelis are psychopaths and they want to bomb everybody. And it's well, what is the Samson option? Do you want to explain it? Anyway, that was the Twitter space. But speaking of hypocrisy, because another point I brought up when it comes to this, like, you know, the Islamists are the barbarians, and the Jews are like the pro. They're the ones who are pro democracy, and they've never done anything wrong. They're just so amazing. I brought up this interesting parallel. I don't know if someone's brought this kind of talking point up before. I think it's kind of interesting though, because they say, oh, like you know, think of Omar Khadr. It's like, man, they taught this kid to like make bombs when he's a kid. Like that's what they do. That's what the Muslims do. They teach their kids to make bombs and like use AKs and blah 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 blah. And that's kind of like the story that we're fed. And of course, it is real. It is real in many cases. I don't know many cases. I don't know the statistics, but anyway, the point is like that's the kind of thing that they say about the Muslim world, is like they teach kids to use guns and make bombs, blah blah blah. But when you're an Israeli citizen, you're basically forced to become a member of the IDF, to be forced to become a member of the military there. And maybe that's like not like a 1-to-1 comparison, but it's like, yeah, you're kind of like every citizen has to, I don't know, learn how to use a gun at some point. And hey, I'm not knocking it. I'm not saying that's not, oh, bad Israel. Oh, how the Israel. You're in the Middle East. I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all for doing that. But once again, it's the hypocrisy. The hypocrisy of being in the Middle East, being in probably one of the most bloody ongoing conflicts of Israel, Palestine, and in the Middle Eastern world happening for even beyond the 70 years. And these pro-Israel people are literally acting like, you know, there's only been bloodshed on one side and there's only been evil terroristic activities on one side. It's really odd. But, and just to kind of like expose, you know, some of our friends, apparently, this is Rebel News. This is, we've heard of this guy. What's his name again? Avi Yemeni. Let me move it over here. Avi Yemeni. Once again, and like, we're going to go over this. Like, you know, a lot of these people I have liked or have enjoyed their content in the past. He's a Rebel News reporter, and, you know, he's talking about the Israel conflict, and it's very one-sided at Rebel News. I mean, I'm sure the fact that it's owned by Ezra Levant, who's Jewish, is completely irrelevant, right? No, I mean, obviously it's relevant. He wants Israel to do well because he's Jewish. You know, what am I saying? Let's be real here. Is that crazy to say? Well, apparently it'd be illegal to say in the States. I don't know if that's because of the anti-Semite laws that I said earlier, which is crazy. This is why this is important. Okay, I can't even suggest that, like, maybe Ezra Levant really wants, maybe he's like really more concerned about Israel than Canada. You're under arrest. I'm under arrest for like suggesting something that is probably quite obvious. Anyway, so this article says the truth about a war from Avi Yemeni. The Palestinian terrorist group sneaking terrorists into Israel to attack civilians, massacring entire families, their homes, murdering and raping young women at a dance party, and kidnapping women and children, taking them into Gaza as hostages to parade in the streets as trophies after brutally torturing them. Which I don't condone any. That sounds terrible. Okay? That sounds terrible. Most of the mainstream media have an official policy against calling Hamas terrorists. Blah, 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 blah. It's obviously very one-sided. Not that I would expect it not to be one-sided, but, you know, obviously the kind of undertone is Israel is justified in doing whatever they decide to do. Okay. Israel is justified in doing whatever they decide to do. That's kind of the undertone. That's kind of like the message, I think, that is kind of being sent out here. And here's a very interesting clip. I don't know when this is from, but it's also of Avi Yemeni being pressed by some Muslim guy, by some Palestinian. I'm not sure, but let's play it because it's a very interesting conversation here. The caption says, "Y'all know Avi Yemeni, yeah? But do you really know him? Also remember he works for Rebel News, another Zionist outlet."
Avi Yemeni.
Oh, whoa. Can you guys hear that? Hold on. Just going to make sure that's better. I think this is going to be better. Go.
Avi Yemeni. Okay, let's know who he is. Can we get on camera, please? Is this the same guy, yeah, that one Palestinian got shot in the face and he said, "Nice shot, boys"? Is this the same guy? Play them in in the face, and you know what? Okay. Shoot him in the heart too. Okay. Have you shot people like this guy? Answer, don't be shy. Don't be shy. I've served on the Gaza Strip. Have you shot people like this guy? Yes. Yes, you have. He has shot innocent people who go to the border. Let me finish. Who go to the border for what? For what? Stones. Now let me get this right, yeah? This guy is the biggest terrorist ever, yeah? This guy is... yeah? 1 second.
That is the funniest thing I've heard all fucking day.
You're gonna hear it again. This guy's the biggest terrorist ever.
So yeah, I mean, like, I wouldn't say Avi is the biggest terrorist ever, but it obviously adds some pretty important context, don't you think? Like, Avi has said on Twitter, like, nice shot, boys, after the Israeli Defense Force has, shot and killed an innocent Palestinian. And he got asked, hey, have you shot these people before? He says, yes. So, I mean, obviously he wants to bomb the fuck out of Hamas. He's already shot at these people. What? No shit. Again, it's a very agenda driven. Like that's like such important context to like everything that someone like Avi would say. It's like, okay, so you've already shot at these people. Why? Like, were you shooting at terrorists? Were you just shooting at some young Palestinian throwing a rock? Like it's again, like the oversimplification of like, we just got to bomb Gaza. Sincerely, somebody who's like already shot at Palestinians. Yeah. Like it doesn't, again, it's not woke, but it's agenda driven. It's agenda first, facts and feelings, like, no facts involved. It's pure feelings. It's pure my agenda. It's pure just like pushing forth what I want above everything else. We're going to go to, maybe we should do the, what's his face? Let's do the thumbnail guy. The guy that's in the thumbnail. Let's go to Glenn Beck. And you may have seen this clip already. Jeremy reacted to it on his stream before. And it's super cringy and weird. It's super odd. I really like, yeah, maybe I should show the BLM one first. Is that more appropriate? To show the BLM one first? Oh, where's the BLM one? Oh, come on, Greg. Come on now. When you lose the link. Okay, so I'm going to play this one and I'm going to look for the other one at the same time. So this is a long clip from Glenn Beck. And yeah, he's a conservative commentator. And I guess like, look for the facts here. Look for, conservative commentator, facts, logic, conservatism. We got to do what's right. We got to do what's true. Look for any of that here. Because all I see in this clip is just like pure feelings, pure feelings the whole way through.
I don't know why I was born, but there is something about the state of Israel that connects deeply to me. To have the privilege to stand with the Jew is a tremendous honor, spiritually.
Whoa.
So I want to read a letter that I wrote that I am sending to the state of Israel.
I send letters to countries all the time, by the way. I'm always like, hey, you know what? Maybe I should send a letter just to India. Dear India.
To Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the honorable officials at the state of Israel. In this moment, I have chosen...
One of the officials who has a portrait of a terrorist, by the way, who I brought up earlier. One of those officials? Okay. The honorable. The honorable, that sounds familiar, right? Your honorable prime minister. Anyway, let's hear what he says.
In this moment, I have chosen to ask you for citizenship in the state of Israel. I have nothing to offer but my voice of support. And some might say that my support might be more valuable as an independent voice. Perhaps they're correct. But my request for citizenship is not about words, it is about deeds. Why, one might wonder, would I want to embrace a heritage and identity that is so ruthlessly hunted down again and again? Yet it is precisely
also an ethnicity that like has an insane amount of power in media and politics. But anyway,
during such moments that we must choose to stand. I anticipate no privileges or exemption from the state of Israel. I instead yearn to align myself with those willing to rise, to fight, and sacrifice for the fundamental right to live. Is this not what both Israel and America embody? In closing, my desire for dual citizenship does not stem from any expectation of gain, but from a deep-rooted belief in standing with what is right and true. 10 years ago, I took my children to Israel for the first time, but we first visited Auschwitz in Poland. I told them, you cannot understand Israel without the Bible or Auschwitz. May Israel remain an eternal flame of hope, a beacon of resilience, and a testament to the enduring human spirit.
Everything that is just and right. Is that what he said? Everything that is right and true is in Israel. That is like crazy to me. Isn't Israel like a haven for like pedophiles or something like that? Anyway, that's a whole other story. But everything that's right and true, says Glenn Beck. But I want to juxtapose that with this, because it really reminds me of being the exact same thing, where it's like, I stand with Jewish people. I just want to virtue signal so hard. I want to be Jewish. That's how much I love Jewish people. I want to be Jewish. I want, like, you guys are so victimized, you guys. Like, oh my God, you guys. And it's like, what does this remind me of? It reminds me of white people washing black people's feet at a BLM protest. Remember this one?
Stand in the gap and repent on behalf of Caucasian people.
It's all people. Hey, not just...
I'll read what TMZ says about this. Here's an example of true healing playing out in a very biblical sense. A group of white police officers and other community members came together to wash their black brothers and sisters' feet and ask for forgiveness. You know, it's yes, we're gonna wash black people's feet. I'm gonna stand with black people, and we're gonna solve racism, you guys. It's virtue signaling. It's virtue signaling. It's a bunch of empty words. It's virtue signaling. And it's also, it's the cringe type of, well, most virtue signaling is cringe because you're like, I'm not asking anything in return. It's like, yeah, no, you want attention. You want attention for doing your little virtue signal. Because if you virtue signaled alone, then no one would fucking care and you wouldn't be getting the attention. So the whole reason you're doing this publicly, like if you truly felt that way, then you wouldn't have to make a huge fucking statement about it and get all this attention and get all these accolades and get all these pats in the back of, you're so, dude, oh my God, Glenn Beck, oh my God, dude, you just helped Jewish people so much, man. Like, thank you so much for helping us. You think those black people getting their feet washed are like, whoa, man, or the cops aren't going to shoot me now? No, like nothing has changed. Just get my feet washed. And I don't know if you're Israel, it's like, okay, thanks, Glenn Beck. Thanks for the advertisement on your show. I don't know what to tell you. Thanks for telling everybody that everything that comes out of Israel is right and true. The oversimplification is insane. I kind of want to use, let's try to extend the analogy here. to BLM. George Floyd overdosed on fentanyl. But the story was this cop ruthlessly murdered him. He murdered him with his knee on the ground. And that was the story that people went with, and they all went crazy. Everyone's like, oh my God, burn down buildings, I guess. Let's just riot. This guy's a murderer. And there was huge, massive destruction, death in the streets, rioting, looting, fires, cities destroyed, small businesses destroyed. Did anything actually help the relationship between law enforcement and the black community? No, not at all. It probably got worse. And a whole bunch of money went to the Democratic Party and BLM, which they bought mansions in white neighborhoods. There was nothing good came out of this BLM movement, and it was largely focused on the wrong story, like the wrong perspective, an oversimplified perspective of white people just want to kill black people, and like that's why that happened. And then if you even suggest, hey, I think actually he had a pretty bad rap sheet, this like poor guy, but he was robbing pregnant women, George Floyd, and he had fentanyl in the system, and this has happened before, and we think it's like an overdose of fentanyl. Don't say that, racist. How dare you say that? And with the Israel-Palestine thing, again, people will say this is a crude kind of comparison, but it's like the pro-BLM people remind me of the pro-Israel people, where it's like, hey, there's only one side to the story, and that's that Muslims want to kill Jews, and that's all you need to know. So better fall in line and support Israel, and we're going to bomb the fuck out of Gaza and probably start World War III. Again, nothing good is going to come of this escalation in war. And what I would argue is like more terroristic acts, which is just like indiscriminately bombing an area because what? Because you want to displace these people, which we'll get to in a second. But it seems like this oversimplification of the whole story, not a facts thing. Facts don't care about your feelings, Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro is just all about the feelings right now, all about the feelings. And actually, speaking of which, I got a great clip of him, amazing clip of our boy Ben Shapiro. This was brought up, I think, last week, but Keith Woods tweeted about this. But, what have we been hearing Ben Shapiro tweet, basically every other tweet? They're killing babies and women. This is disgusting. This is why we need to wipe them off the face of the earth. This is why, he's using the atrocity propaganda to push forth this very specific Israel agenda of bombing Hamas, taking back, bombing Gaza, rather. And that's the excuse they use to kind of just indiscriminately just bomb everywhere. Is using Hamas, but so Ben Shapiro is using dead babies as a political football to push forth this agenda for Israel, and then here he is years ago talking to Piers Morgan.
So why am I off the rails, Mr. Shapiro?
Honestly, Piers, you've kind of been a bully on this issue because what you do, and I've seen it repeatedly on your show, I watch your show, and I've seen it repeatedly, what you tend to do is you tend to demonize people who differ from you politically by standing on the graves of the children of Sandy Hook, saying they don't seem to care enough about the dead kids. If they cared more about the dead kids, they would agree with you on policy. I think we can have a rational political conversation about balancing rights and risks and rewards of all of these different policies, but I don't think that what we need to do is demonize people on the other side as being unfeeling about what happened in Sandy Hook.
Wow. So there it is right there. I totally agree with Ben Shapiro there. Hey, maybe we shouldn't just stand on the graves of dead kids and totally oversimplify the situation and dehumanize everybody who disagrees with me. And then you go to Ben Shapiro's Twitter and what is it? It's like, if you don't fucking help us wipe out Gaza, you're part of the problem, bro. Hashtag Palestinians don't matter. It's not what he said, but that's kind of what it feels like a lot of the time, Pretty crazy out there. But yeah, I mean, and there's so many examples of this. The other one I wanted to bring up is this one. This is something I tweeted out. This is a clip from Jake Shields. He says, this is how Israel treats their own citizens who are opposed to the genocide. So imagine how they treat Palestinians. And this is basically some Hasidic fundamentalists, Jews getting beaten up by IDF, I believe, or the police force. Whoops. Little left hook there at the end. So, and then what do we have here? We have Jews being beaten in the street, but no pro-Israel people care because it doesn't support their agenda. There's that agenda word again, right? Because this is the same thing that happens with the woke left. Hey, it's only white supremacists at the trucker convoy. Don't support the trucker convoy. Yeah, there's a lot of non-white people there. This guy got trampled by a police horse. I don't care. That never even happened. Fuck those people. I don't care about those black people. Those fucking people of color don't matter because they have the wrong opinion. Those Jews don't matter because they have the wrong opinion. It's the exact same fucking thing. It's the exact same thing, guys. It's the exact same thing. And there's so many examples of this. And here's another one. I won't play the audio here, but the commentary here says Jews do not want to serve in the Israeli army, which is Zionist. Jews cannot take up arms because the Torah forbids it. In addition, women are recruited into the military, even though it is against the Torah. When Jews do not want to serve Israel, they are brutally attacked. Speaking of trampling with horses. There's just no two sides to the conversation. You know, that's uncanny, right? It's like, why were the people trampled at the trucker convoy? It's like, because we don't give a fuck about your opinion. You're worthless to us. You don't help our agenda. So shut the fuck up. You know, it's one of those things where it's like, this is kind of like a very stale, cringe talking point at this point, but it's almost like the pro-Israel people are the real anti-Semites. You know what I mean? But, yeah, I'll bring, this is a really, oh yeah, let's talk about this one as well. This is another good one. Cause let's talk about how, what's going on right now. You know, I talked about how it's, the woke agenda on the left is very much anti-white when you boil it down. It's about kind of undermining Western values, and especially if you're white, especially if you're straight and want to make war white people, essentially every single idea in the woke sort of agenda is just kind of, wants to end your way of life. And it's similar on the pro-Israel side here because, well, to put it bluntly, there's been a number of Muslim terrorist attacks that have happened in the Western world, right? I'm not going to list them off, but there's been a number of them that have happened where presumably Europeans die, North Americans die. I guess there hasn't really been any in Canada, but there's been these attacks that have happened. And now that there's been an attack that's happened in Israel, it's like these people are barbarians. These people are terrible. We need to bomb the fuck out of Gaza immediately. It's like the reaction to this recent attack in Israel was like, it does not even compare to because we're talking about immigration and how to better assimilate people who are coming into the country. That never happened before. If you even suggested that after a Muslim terror attack in France, for example, you get called racist. How dare you suggest that? Don't look back in anger, I believe, after the big bombing that happened at the Ariana Grande concert, which I believe like 20 people died. A bomb went off in Manchester, England, I believe. And I'm pretty sure 20 people died. It was, it was Islamic extremism, whatever it was. And saying that, hey, sometimes Muslims have extreme ideas and they're terrorists and they want to kill people. And hey, look, all of these like English people just died. Like even talking about that was like, no, don't look back in anger. It was one of like the catchphrases that they were saying to tell white people to calm down. Hey, just calm down. Oh yeah. Are Muslim extremists killing you in your own country? Just calm down. Okay. It's not a big deal. It's really insulting. Honestly, it's like very, very insulting that, if you're a white Western person, you're not allowed to like fucking complain about a Muslim terror attack. But when it happens in Israel, it's like, well, you better fucking support Israel bombing the fuck out of here and like, accepting more angry Muslims into your country. It's like, okay, now we're allowed to care about that. Now we're allowed to talk about immigration now that Jews have died. But when white Westerners die, no one gives a fuck. Just shut the fuck up. It's kind of like the response you get. And I think a perfect kind of comparison is, Macron, because like think about the story of. Can we see this here? I gotta keep adjusting this. Goddamn. Macron calls Paris beheading Islamist terrorist attack. This is from October 2020. If you didn't know, French President Emmanuel Macron has called the beheading of a teacher in a northwestern suburb of Paris an Islamist terrorist attack. He says They won't win. We will act, the president said from the scene. Did he really do anything after that other than say this? Someone got their head cut off for showing a cartoon of Muhammad or whatever. Also, what's happened in France was the Charlie Hebdo shooting, when a satire magazine made fun of Muhammad, and they shot up the satire magazine. This is a huge attack on the West. This is a huge attack on Western values. This is a huge attack on Europeans, the French, whatever you want to call it. And what was the response? The response was like, boo-hoo, so sad, we're not gonna retaliate. No one's gonna retaliate. Everyone just calm down. Don't be racist. Don't be racist. Don't be racist. Right? That was the whole. Don't be racist. Don't be racist. Don't be racist. But when something happens in Israel, it's like we need to wipe these fucking people out. And if you're not with us, you're part of the problem. It's such a different response. And let's jump to what happened just a couple weeks ago. Let's go to this tweet here. After the attack in Israel, we have breaking. France has just banned pro-Palestine protests. So Macron, after the beheading of a teacher, said, we're going to take action. They won't win. Pretty sure he did absolutely fucking nothing. But the second there's a terrorist attack in Israel, he's banning protests, which is the equivalent to banning speech, by the way. Hey, you're not allowed to oppose the bombing of Gaza in France anymore. That's Macron. Macron made that decision. Banning protests. Holy shit. Holy shit. A French teacher got her head cut off. Got cut off. No banning of anything. No legislation was passed. No one gave a fuck. Yeah, say, hey, sometimes crazy Muslim kids cut heads off, all right? Just deal with it. It has nothing to do with culture, nothing to do with race. Just stop being racist, okay? What, you want me to pass legislation? Then when something happens in a foreign country, 70-year history of bloodshed, all this fucking resentment for years and years and years. What does that have to do with the French? Probably something if you look into the geopolitical history, but we're not going to, probably nothing that major. And it's like, oh, terrorist attack in another country? Let's ban protests. Let's ban this very specific protest. Holy shit. And then, of course, I used to like Dave Rubin. But what does he say in response to France banning protests? Maybe the West does have a chance. I'm Dave Rubin. Me and my boyfriend have incubator babies. Like, maybe the West has a chance. Guys, need I remind you that Dave Rubin wrote a book called Don't Burn This Book. Dave Rubin's like, don't burn this book, guys. I'm about freedom of speech. They want to burn my book because my ideas are so crazy. They're so, I'm a libertarian. I'm about liberty. Don't burn this book, please. Oh, maybe the West has a chance. They banned protests in France. Yeah, maybe the West does have a chance. Like the hypocrisy is sickening. It's sickening. It almost makes like the hypocrisy on the left kind of just seem like playful and kind of fun. This stuff is like, it's way worse because when you are more of a right winger, like Patriot, you're worried about the survival of Western civilization. Let's face it. And these people who claim to be fighting for Western civilization are not. They're not. And at these like critical times where you do need to focus on the facts and the information, and don't get overwhelmed with emotion. It's all out the window. It's just straight emotion. It's straight my side, my agenda. I'm Jewish, pro-Israel. Where is the facts and logic? Where's the upholding Western civilization no matter what? Upholding freedom of speech no matter what? It's fucking gone. And then there's just Raytheon. There's Raytheon arms dealers just like rubbing their hands together. Like, I fucking love it. This is great. We're warmongering again. Let's kill a bunch of more people. Say that we're the good guys. It's fucking disgusting, guys. It's disgusting. I think that's it for tonight. I was going to talk about things happening in Canada, but I guess generally I'll try to tie it up with that. This is a major problem for Canadians for like a variety of reasons. And it's because I don't think Canadians see it coming. Like we're already very apathetic. It's such a struggle to get Canadians to even care about Canadian politics, I mean, politics in general, but like especially Canadian politics. If anything, Canadians will like passively watch the headlines happening in the States or something like this. And you know, we don't see it coming. It's almost like it's like we're about to get the 1-2 punch is about to happen. You know, it's like we've just been getting jabbed by Trudeau, wokeness, tranny bathrooms, carbon tax, you know, all this stuff. And then they're coming in with the two of Pierre Poilievre being like, boom, we're going to pass anti-Semitism laws so you can't even have specific speech rights on basic historical events. And maybe you can't say this, or like, who knows how bad it's going to get. Who knows how bad it's going to get. And that's the thing. Is there the political will to oppose Pierre Poilievre's Conservative Party if they were to get into power? I mean, because like right now, it's not nearly enough. It's not nearly enough, not nearly strong enough. It's not really nearly mainstream enough. Like there's people like myself, Jeremy McKenzie and Diagolon and others out there who are doing their thing. But like it needs to be we need a much bigger appetite for this. And Canadians are already timid. They're already timid to be called racist and stuff. But now it's going to be coming from both sides. Oh, don't be anti-Semitic either. Oh no, don't look into that. Don't do this. We're getting attacked by both sides now. And I'm seeing the delusion of Pierre Poilievre supporters start to grow. They're becoming delusional. They're like, I don't care if Pierre Poilievre doesn't oppose mass migration. We got to vote for him anyway. And well, you know what? Maybe opposing mass migration is racist. And maybe it's actually a good economic argument. It's like slowly but surely these people are becoming part of the problem. These Conservative Party people are becoming part of the problem. And, you know, I'll give them some sympathy. Like they're desperate. They're afraid. They, maybe they have like a bunch of regrets in life, and they feel like getting Pierre Poilievre will be like one last hurrah to say fuck the libs or whatever the fuck they think it's going to happen. But for anyone who's younger, who's seeing like, you know, past the next 10 years, they're like, this is not looking good. This is not looking good because, like I said, the 1-2 punch. We got to be ready for it. We got to call it out. We got to be true patriots. We got to be Canada First patriots. And that means like, hey, it's unfortunate that you guys are killing each other and wanting to genocide each other. But by supporting Israel bombing Gaza, more Muslim refugees come here. Actually, let's end on that. I'm going to play a clip from this guy. If you haven't seen this guy, oh my God, you're missing out. This is from Paul Joseph Watson. You guys have probably heard of this guy. This guy's incredible. And I was going to read the document, but I thought I'd just kind of like play a clip of his video because he sums it up so well.
It's Europeans. If you've been enjoying scenes like this over the past few weeks, well, get ready for a whole lot more. A leaked document penned by the Israeli Ministry of Intelligence reveals all. Their preferred option, according to this document, is the full, forcible and permanent transfer of the Gaza Strip's 2.2 million Palestinian residents. Initially to Egypt's Sinai Peninsula, and then to guess where? Countries in Europe, and especially the Mediterranean, Greece, Spain, which will be mandated to absorb and settle this vast quantity of people, along with Canada, which will also carry out the absorption of the population of Gaza and its settlement within the framework of the permissive immigration policy. The document lays out how an aggressive public relations campaign will be ramped up in the Western world to promote the transfer plan. One which does not incite or vilify Israel, but which
So that's crazy. Sorry about that. So that's crazy. So they say that they want to displace 2 million people from Israel. We're going to bomb the fuck out of them. And they're, you know, don't vilify Israel, though, while this is happening. You know, we're creating a refugee crisis that displaces 2 million people. But don't worry, we're going to send them to other places where, you know, pack their bags. It's, I don't know if it was me who said this, but, you know, a lot of this kind of pro-Israel side, it's almost like, are you guys, is this about like getting revenge, or like kind of like, is this about self-defense, or is this some sort of real estate planning? Because it feels like some like real estate management is going on right now. Like it feels like that might be like the hidden agenda that you guys have in mind. We got to get the Gaza Strip. You know, I want to get a condo for me and my nanu. Anyway, let's keep playing.
Which calls on the West to step up and take the refugees as a humanitarian necessity to prevent mass civilian deaths in Gaza. There it is in black and white. Western Europe, Canada, and eventually the United States will once again, despite the unmitigated disaster when it occurred last time, be expected to take in millions of Middle Eastern refugees. What could possibly go wrong?
Whoops, I forgot to show the video. Whoops, sorry. You'll have to deal with just the audio. But yeah, so guys, this mass migration thing, it's again, the irony, the hypocrisy is insane, okay? Because a lot of these pro-Israel people are all for strict immigration policies in Israel. We don't want anybody but Israelis and Jewish people living in Israel. Get the fuck out. Anybody, hey, you're a foreigner? Get the fuck out. Do not fucking come here. That's Israel. But they're very adamant about sending 2 million people to Canada who are, you know, not from Canada. You know, kind of just changing the demographics of Canada. I'm pretty sure the fun fact we're dealing with is we are experiencing the fastest demographics change in Canada outside of wartime. Wow. And Pierre Poilievre is not even talking about it. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. But we need to start we need to start realizing, this is what the whole show is about, but we need to start realizing not only do we have enemies on the right wing who are pretending to be our friends, but they might end up being much, much worse in terms of what they're capable of, in terms of what they try to do to our country, taking away our freedom of speech, further vilifying us, further canceling us. They have a lot of, there's a lot of powerful political commentators who I've been talking about, and they have big reach. They have big pull. They're very persuasive. And, we got to keep our head on a swivel here and really just keep talking about this, because that's the first step. Because if less people talk about it, then less people will know about it. People need the bravery to stand up and to say something about this. And I think more people are actually seeing the light. I think they're kind of seeing how it's like, this seems to be all about foreign countries and nothing to do with Canadians. And the whole sort of, it's hard for them to pitch this idea that it's like, support Israel displacing 2 million peoples because we're more civil and we're less barbaric. That's why we're just completely destroying this area and displacing 2 million people, because we're more civilized. It's a hard sell for people. But anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. If you do want to support the show, you can go to gregwycliffe.com for donation options. But I do want to actually plug this one more time. We're not going to do the outro just yet. Psych. I do want to promote our boy Rob Primo one more time, because he's dealing with a whole bunch of COVID fines and 800,000 in COVID fines. We're not asking for you to, pay off the fines, obviously, but he does need legal representation to fight this. He is a great content creator, independent journalist. He's just a dad, really, who got caught up into politics like many Canadians. How did I even get here? I don't know. I just wanted to do the right thing. But if you would, you can go to givesendgo.com/therobprimo to support him, because he could use the help right now. He's a freedom fighter going through it. And finally, I will shout out to Jeremy McKenzie, who got another charge stayed or dropped, vindicated once again. Is the media going to talk about it? No. Is Rebel News going to talk about it? No. Very shameful. Very shameful. We need to talk more about that as well. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I love you so much, and we will talk to you soon. Have a good night.